UFC 322 is a week away. I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait to talk about it anymore. So I asked y'all to submit to me your hot takes on the event, whether the fight outcomes or just in general. So today we're going to be going over your guys' submitted hot takes specifically only for UFC 322 next weekend, all right? Appreciate y'all for sending everything in. Starting off with the first one we got here, man, coming from Zay RF4 saying that Benny beats Benoit Saint-Denis after almost getting finished in the first round. Now, here's the thing, my brother. As someone who I'm probably going to be going with BSD, all right? The main reasoning behind that is the fact that Beneil got knocked down by Moicano in his last outing, okay? And listen, Moicano, it sucks to see the fall off, but in general, he is still a good fighter, good submission game, good grappler in general. You could say maybe underrated striking. Fuck it, who cares? But what you can say about Moicano definitively is that he lacks power behind his hands. He lacks that solid pop or thud behind his shots. And in general, man, he's not really getting knockouts for the most part. Most of his finishes either come from like ground and pound TKOs over like a Jalen Turner of all things, or these submissions that he's racking up. I feel like the fact that Moicano was able to crack him in the first round goes to show that Beneil Dariush's chin really is as bad as people were making it out to be. I get that facing Saryukian, and I forgot who else knocked him out, but it was somebody else recently, and it's rough looks for Beneil. I think it might have been Charles Oliveira, and with that, it's really high levels of competition, so we always gave Beneil the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, he's still facing the elite of the elite, but my thing with Beneil, man, and why I'm going to think that this is a really hot take is because I just don't think the chin is going to hold up. It's not a really hot take. I take that back because there's a lot of people that are going with Beneil Dariush. I think that's a totally fair reason. I'm probably banking too much on the power of Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm probably banking too much on the fact that Beneil's chin might not show up. Like, I don't think it will, man. Like, if Moicano was rocking you in the first round, dude. And it's like the Moicano, kind of like the new low point of his career after the Makhachev thing. It's like B, C, and AD. It's like we have to talk about Moicano's career, like before the title shot and after the title shot. It's a different story. He can afford to lose now. But my point is, I'm worried for the chin of Beneil. I think he clearly has the grappling advantage. If he utilizes that and his chin is able to survive the early dangers in the opening rounds, the first half of the fight, dude, I think Beneil's cardio, high-level experience, and again, the grappling, the wrestling advantage here will go to him, and I feel like he'll take over the second and the third round, but I don't think the fight's going to make it that far. I think that Benoit's power, aggressiveness, explosivity, like he's the Michael Chandler with his chromosomes in the right place. I feel like all that's going to work together here. And Benoit in his own right has solid takedown defense, and he went out there against Mauricio Rufy and showed levels in the grappling. So Benoit's a solid grappler in his own right, but I see what you're saying. I can see Beneil surviving. Yes, like you're saying, almost getting finished. So you're implying that he makes it through the storm. I could totally see that happening. I feel like Beneil's a high-level fighter, but I'm going to trust in him kind of being this Grunkle stand status in his career, coming to the tail end of it. And again, getting rocked by Moicano is a rough look. So it's a hot take, but I'm sure that a lot of people are going to go with it. And if Beneil does win, this is probably how it is going to go. Almost getting finished in the first and then coming back in the second and third and really taking over. Possibly a stinker, but who knows, all right? But I'm excited for it regardless. Moving on to the next one we got coming from Hamza Bors1 saying that Leon Mumblemouth Edwards wins a decision versus Prates, but behind the grappling mainly. I'm going to say that this is a solidly hot take because Leon is an underdog, but brother, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted to go with Leon myself. This is another one of the fights on the card where it's like, I don't really have a clear winner. Like, yeah, I'm going really back and forth on the main event, but Leon does have the grappling advantage here. Leon can wrestle. He took down Usman. He took down Covington. And in general, like, I feel like it's because Bilal was taking him down and ragged on him. Sean Brady was ragged on him and submitted him ultimately. The first guy to ever submit Leon Edwards, I believe. So Leon is kind of vulnerable right now, not only in terms of just the momentum of his career. He's at the new low point. It's the rock bottom, like when you're going to the bottom of Bikini Bottom. But I feel like this is still a very winnable fight for him. And not just because he can implement the wrestling. Even though Prates has like pretty good takedown defense for the most part. I don't think he's fought too great of wrestlers. Like, who's taking him down? Like, Ian Garry, all right? And like you got Neil Magny shooting for his life and he's coming up short and getting knocked out to the shadow realm in one round. So I feel like Leon, of all things, could genuinely present the biggest problem with the wrestling to Prates. But I feel like for the most part, Leon has been itching to finally fight a striker. Like, this ain't no Bilal Muhammad who's rocking him. Can we talk about that? People forget, man, but Bilal Muhammad rocked Leon Edwards in that fight. So that's a rough sign. And Nate Diaz, you're a wrestler now. That guy fucking was rocking Leon Edwards in the fifth as well of their fight. So Leon's chin can be vulnerable. He's never been knocked out. He's never been finished on the feet. And he is a striker, so I got to give it up to him, okay? But the thing is, Prates has that different kind of power, okay? The Muay Thai background, the elite striking, and the power in general, it's crazy. He was the first guy to ever knock out Li Jinglang. He was the first guy to ever knock out Jeff Neal. And Leon Edwards has never been knocked out, but I could see Prates having that power to do it. And Leon, man, yes, he does have the wrestling advantage here, but like, I don't know if he's going to use it because, again, he finally is fighting a striker. He might be thriving on the feet, but I feel like Prates is going to be the heavier pressure fighter and just have more power behind the hands and is going to be able to dictate the pace of the fight on the feet. And I feel like his takedown offense will hold up to where I could lean with Prates just kind of holding his own regardless. And even if Leon is shooting takedowns, Prates is stuffing them all. I don't know if Leon exactly has the cleanest takedowns in the world, but again, like, he did take down Usman. What timeline are we in that we had to witness Leon Edwards actually touching the belt, and now he's here, okay? I couldn't even tell you, but I could see Leon, whether he's hurt by Prates early in the fight, late in the fight, whatever. I could see him maybe like doing a panic shoot takedown, like someone like that, just rushing in, but I'm curious to see if Leon really does have a game plan behind it of actually going into the fight using his wrestling. I don't know if he's just going to rely on it as a crutch if he needs it, or if like that's part of the game plan, like late in round 1, sometime in round 2, whatever, like actually mixing in the takedowns, keeping Prates guessing. But it all boils down to this is finally a striker opponent for Leon, so I could see him kind of thriving, just wanting to stay on the feet. So I'm going to say it's a hot take because I don't know if Leon's going to get this one done. I think if he does win, it'll be a decision, but behind the grappling mainly, I don't know if Leon's the guy to really just out-wrestle and out-grapple a guy like Prates. I think that's going to be reserved for maybe a Brady down the road, a Makhachev or something like that. So I'll say it's a hot take, but not too hot of a take. I could probably see it happening, but we'll have to see how the fight goes, all right? Moving on up next here to KBZN saying that JDM versus Islam will be very one-sided. Not sure who's going to get the better of who, but I sense a 5-0 shutout in terms of the scorecards or a finish after dominant rounds. This is the thing. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the fucking thing, you guys. I've had a hunch about this fight as well that I think it is very 50-50. I think it is going to be very competitive. It's definitely one of the toughest fights to call all year, but I do have this weird feeling that for as good as JDM is, and for as good as Islam is, whoever wins this fight, I don't think it'll be like a 5-0 shutout, but I think it's going to be a bit more of a clear win than we thought. It's going to be one of those fights, you know what I mean? Like, we built up DDP versus Hamza Chimaev to be, I mean, they're similar in betting odds, so look at that, but to be one of the most competitive, hard to call fights all year, and DDP was about as big as the same underdog, and he was the champion as well as JDM, but ended up coming short, and it wasn't too competitive, unfortunately. Jesus, I picked DDP too. That still hurts to this day. But regardless of that, JDM had his outstanding performance against Bilal Muhammad, but it seems like the contrast between how people are talking about him with the Gilbert Burns performance compared to this, like, it's night and day. So I feel like JDM really surprised us, and he continually just improved in the meantime, in the offseason, in the hyperbolic time chamber. So if he's able to continue to do that again against an even higher level of competition in Makhachev, I can see JDM taking his lights out. I can see him having the excellent Craig Jones. I'm working with him, having that excellent takedown defense, looking great in the scrambles, getting efficiently back up to his feet. But I could see Islam on the counter end, man. I could see Islam just going out there. Maybe he gets some kind of round 2 or 3 submission. Maybe his striking looks way better than people are giving him credit for. Maybe people forget, man, but really this guy was the pound for pound #1 for a while here. So maybe we're kind of just forgetting how good Islam is. I think it is still a 50-50 fight in my mind. I'm still going back and forth on who to pick here, kind of. But the thing is, I have the same feeling as you. I'm going to say that it's a hot take, but like, I kind of agree, but it's just like this hunch in the air. Like, on paper, I think it should be like a very close, competitive 48-47 decision. I don't know who's going to win, but the thing is, just if we're going to like the feeling in the air, that gut feeling, the literal sixth sense, then I kind of agree. Like, I just feel like whoever does win, regardless of if I don't know who it is or not, I feel like that it might be a lot more efficient and less competitive than we're maybe thinking, all right? So, hot take, because everyone's saying that this is one of the most 50-50 fights of all time, but I do see what you're saying. It's like a weird feeling in the air. I get you, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, another one talking about the main event. I'm about to botch the hell out of your name, my brother. I apologize, like I'm the Rock in his prime, saying that Izanathe Deontay. I apologize, but he says that JDM versus Islam isn't even a 50-50 fight, and obviously Makhachev's going to smoke him. It's definitely a hot take, because listen, I know in the last one I'm saying, like, okay, I have a feeling that it's going to be a more dominant and efficient performance than we think, but, like, that's just me going off the gut feeling in the air, like I'm a prime chill son, and I really believe this, Daniel. I really believe that Jack, Delulu, Monkey Elena, I really believe that he's simply going to dominate. Whatever the hell it is, whoever you're going with, Islam or JDM, and I am leaning maybe to go with Islam anyways, but I'm not confident. I'm pretty damn worried. And I'm going to say this is a pretty hot take because anyone that's saying that, oh, Makhachev's going to smoke JDM. Oh, JDM's going to smoke Makhachev. You either got to be the Mystic Mac of our generation and you're just the S tier predicting fights, and maybe you know someone we don't know. Okay, who knows with all the rigged fights going on. But maybe you know someone we don't know and you really are the S tier predictor. Or they might be riding the confidence a little too high. Because I truly believe no matter who you're going with in this fight, either or, the red corner or the blue corner, I think you should be worried about your pick. I think there's so many reasons to go with JDM. I think there's so many reasons to go with Makhachev. So I do think it is a 50-50 fight, especially in the build-up. We'll have to see how the actual fight goes, but I think everybody should be worried for their picks no matter who you're going with. So I'm going to say this one's a hot take. But again, maybe Makhachev does smoke him, all right? So this might age really well. We'll have to see it, man. Moving on up next to Alexander the Warrior Jar. Okay, I see you with the name, my brother. Saying that Michael Morales doesn't have a chance against Brady. The thing is, man, this is, I think, from the last time I saw the betting odds, the closest fight on the card in terms of, like, you know, I think Morales is like a very slight favorite. Brady's a very slight underdog. I'm taking that plus money, by the way, but I do think there's a reason for that. I think it's a pretty hard fight to predict. I think it's a hard fight to call, regardless of just betting odds. Like, does Morales have a chance? I do think he does, man. I do think that he has the striking advantage, the power advantage, more weapons to get it done, because he's proven that he can hold his own in the scrambles, in the takedown defense, in all regards, but I don't think he's fought that wrestler that's the caliber of Brady. I think that Brady is pretty simplistic with his boxing. I don't think he's anything crazy on the feet, but I think it's all necessary to build into the takedowns, to really rack up that control, to ultimately submit you later in the fight, okay? I think the fact that it's 3 rounds hurts Brady more than it hurts Morales, because look at how Brady was ragdolling Gilbert Burns, okay? That was a pretty dominant 50-45 with Kelvin Gastelum as well. I believe that was like a 3rd round finish, and then with Leon Edwards, it was a 4th round finish. So Brady builds into the fight. I think that Morales has a better chance of finishing the fight early. I feel like he has better finishing ability in general, but Morales is also capable of making it to the judges' scorecards. And if he is going to be all patient and technical with this one and is just worried about trying to keep this fight in the feet, maybe hesitant with some of the movements and choices here, I can see Brady fully taking advantage of it, knowing that he has to really earn his title shot, okay? Because welterweight's getting so goddamn competitive, and as fans, we love to see it, but there's like 3 multiple #1 contender fights building at the same time. And I love that for the division, but both these guys know that they're going to have to prove a statement. So I think we're going to see the best out of Morales and the best out of Brady. But my point is, I definitely think Morales has the chance. It's a very hard fight to predict here. And I could totally see Morales' takedown defense just holding up. And if this really is a striking battle here, or even if Brady gets him down, but ultimately doesn't do too much with it. I mean, we've seen the judges' scorecards, man. Like, they're really kind of focusing on damage over control lately, which I appreciate. But in general, I definitely think Morales does have a chance. I think that everybody's hopping on the Sean Brady train lately, me included, so I get it. But I think that Morales for sure has the chance, man. He has certain advantages in this fight to where I could see him getting it done. And really, it all boils down to, can he keep this fight standing? And even if he gets taken down, can he at least rack up damage from the bottom? Can he at least do something? Can he at least get efficiently back up to his feet? So I think Morales is a motherfucker, but again, I'm probably leaning towards Brady to win the fight. But even me picking Brady possibly, I still think that Morales has a really good chance to get it done, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, coming from Alma Longoria, saying that Rodolfo Vieira wins by decision. Trust me, bro, okay? Preaching like you're the gospel right now. And you know what? You might be right, but honestly, I'm going to disagree with this one. I think it is a hot take. I think if Rodolfo Vieira wins, it is going to be by a decision, okay? And I do think that Rodolfo Vieira is probably one of the more valuable underdogs of the card. I mean, take advantage of it now, because Bo Nickel is growing as a favorite here. So if you want that plus money, get on it. But I do think Vieira, he is a good fighter, man. I think he does rely on the grappling, but he's got a mean submission game, man. I believe that's how most of his wins even come from in the UFC. I don't think his striking is too crazy, but he definitely can hold his own. But I don't know if Bo Nickel, of all people, exactly has the striking advantage here. Like, if you're going life and death with Paul Craig on the feet, throwing that mean goddamn right hook, and he's trying to just keep it a striking battle to prove a point to the fans, and one of the most lackluster feature fights we've ever seen in our life, it is worrying for Bo Nickel. And then he's coming off the loss to RDR, so I do feel like the momentum is lacking behind him, and I don't think Bo Nickel is like the craziest prospect in the world. Like, I picked RDR to beat him, and I think that's just because Bo Nickel just isn't that ranked level yet, but I think he can be. His wrestling, man, it is really good, okay? And I don't think he's going to get submitted by a guy like Vieira. I think that Vieira is probably a better submission artist on the ground. Like, Bo Nickel, though, probably has the power advantage on the feet, because people forget, man, this guy knocked out prime Val Woodburn. But I'm kind of proving my point that it's a harder fight to predict than people think. But is someone that's leaning towards going with Bo Nickel, I think that even if Vieira wins, I think it will be by a decision. I think a 29-28, I think Bo might start out aggressive and really try to set a heavier pace, really try and dictate where the fight goes. But I think Vieira could take over in the later rounds, and I just don't see him getting a submission. But that plays in your point that Vieira wins, and Vieira wins by decision. So I definitely can't see it. But I think Bo Nickel might be able to get the better of him in the scrambles, might be able to rack up some solid control here, and might be able to avoid getting submitted. And I feel like he might be able to get the better exchanges on the feet here. And even though I think for the most part, Bo Nickel, he's fighting cans. He's not exactly facing the greatest level of competition. When you look at who Vieira is losing to, it's the Chris Curtises, it's the Andre Petroskis, and I think that Bo Nickel, yes, even though he's coming off a rough loss, I think that he even still would be able to beat those guys, or at least make it pretty damn competitive. So I think that Vieira, he's not unbeatable. He's a good fighter, but overall, that's what I'm saying on this one. You know what I mean? Moving on to the next one we got here, coming from Brody 2.0, not 1.0. People forget, man, but Weili will become the female GOAT when it comes to skill and will submit Valentina Shevchenko in round 3. This is definitely a hot take, but it's not too hot of a take, okay? Like, you had me in the first half because I think that Weili is going to win. I do think she can become the female GOAT. I think inactivity is kind of holding her back and kind of that lack of depth in the division. But, I mean, look at like Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes didn't exactly have depth of competition. She was fighting like Irene Aldana at one point for the goddamn title. That might have been the retirement fight. So that goes to show the whole point. But I could see Weili winning the fight. I'm going with her to win. I could see her becoming the female GOAT. I would absolutely love that. I love Weili, man. I've never loved a female fighter this much, and I'm rooting for her, but I think that she is one of the most skilled fighters of all time. But submitting Valentina Shevchenko, especially in kind of like those middle rounds, like round 2 or 3, I don't know if I could see it. I think whoever wins this fight, Valentina or Zhang, I would love to see a finish, okay? But I think if anyone's going to finish the fight, it's probably going to be Zhang. But even then, I think I smell like a 49-46 decision here, okay? I think the fight will be competitive the entire time. Maybe in the later rounds, like 4 and 5, somebody's going to clearly start to take away either just better cardio or just the better striking, the better wrestling. Whatever it is, there's going to be some attribute that's just standing out to where the later rounds I don't think are going to be too competitive as the first few. But in general, I don't think Valentina is going to get submitted, okay? And it's really hard to just beat her in general. I know that Alexa Grasso caught her in that submission, so Alexa Grasso proved that it is beatable. Shevchenko has arguably looked worse than she ever has, and really the past few years of her career. Like, she's going life and death with Manon Fiorot, and she's, you know, taking Grasso like a very dull decision at Noche UFC. Thanks for wasting 30 minutes of my life. I was trying to put my buddies on to watch the sport. We just got done with like Rebevich versus Zellhuber, and then Shevchenko stunk it up for goddamn 30 minutes. But it is what it is. I can't forgive her for that, brother. So I'm rooting for Jean. But in general, Valentina, even though she isn't looking the best version of herself right now, or far from it, I think she will avoid getting submitted. But ultimately, I think she will come up short in the fight. So it is kind of a hot take, but I kind of see what you're saying here. I just think that the only thing I'm disagreeing with is that Jean's going to win via decision instead, all right? So not too out of a take, but I'm hoping that you're right, all right? I'm hoping that you're right for sure. Moving on to the next one we got here. I mean, once again, playing into the co-main. Coming from I Miss Goldie, saying that Weili got dropped by Yan Xiaonan 3 times and was taken down by Yan. Shevchenko about to do bad things. The thing about that, man, is you forget to mention that Weili finished that fight, beat Yan Xiaonan literally in 3 different ways. She damn near had her submitted at one point. She damn near knocked her out at one point. And she ultimately beat her by a pretty dominant decision. Not dominant decision, because the fight was competitive. You are right with everything you said, okay? The fight was competitive at times, but ultimately, I mean, come on. It was that 49-46 for Weili. But in general, I think that Shevchenko, yes, she could win, okay? I think she's the slight favorite for possibly a reason. I think that Zhang, you know, I think she's got that lighter women's skill, brother. But I do see what you're saying. There are reasons to be concerned here, and it's not like Weili is unbeatable. She's been beaten before in her career. I mean, it was like prime Rose Namajunas was taking her out. So I could see Shevchenko beating her for sure. That's not my point, but the thing is, I just don't think Shevchenko is just going to dominate, and I for sure don't think Shevchenko is going to finish the fight. If Shevchenko can't finish Alexa Grasso or Manon Fiorot, who, don't get me wrong, are very good women's fighters, but I'm just saying Jean is a level above that. And I mean, it's been proven already, I feel like. So Shevchenko, think if Shevchenko wins, it's probably going to be a boring decision, unfortunately. But I just can't see her having the power to crack Weili. I can't see her having just that better of wrestling to either submit her or just control her efficiently on the ground or just spamming takedowns the entire fight like she's a prime Arab. Hey, Weili, shut the fuck up. I'm going to take you up and put you down, bitch. But in general, I can see Shevchenko doing bad things like you're saying, but I think the only bad thing that Shevchenko's going to do is possibly put on a stinker for us. So I'm leaning with Weili, but bias aside or not, I could totally see Shevchenko winning the fight. But if she does, I guarantee, man, I don't think it's going to be domination. submission. I don't think it's going to be a finish. So that's where I'll disagree with this. So I am going to say it's a hot take. But you know what? Not a crazy hot take because a lot of people are going with Shevchenko. And you know what? These are valid points. Like Yan Xiaonan did kind of bring out some scary moments for Weili in that fight. So I do see what you're saying, but I'm still going to think it's a pretty hot take, all right? Not too out of a take, but you know what I'm saying, all right? Moving on to the next one we got here, man, coming from Amath, saying that if Prates KOs Leon, give him the title shot against the winner of the main event over Brady and Morales and Garry and Muhammad. The interesting thing about that, and I don't know if I'm in the minority of this one, but I feel like Prates KOing Leon might put him at kind of the bottom compared to those other two, but we have to see how the other fights go because you specifically said if Prates KOs Leon. Like, what if Garry KO Bilal Muhammad? I don't think that's likely, but it could be a thing, all right? And if Brady submits Morales in like 2 rounds, I feel like should get that title shot, but because beating Michael Morales, one of the top prospects for the division, after beating a former champion and Leon Edwards, after beating someone who's fought for the belt in Gilbert Burns, after beating the guy built like a literal mini fridge, Kelvin Gastelum, it's a pretty good win streak, okay? I don't know why I had to end it on Kelvin Gastelum like that was the peak, but you know what I'm saying. I think that Brady, of all people, if he has a very efficient performance and he gets that finish and he has that #1 contender statement like he's hoping to get, I think Brady should get the title shot. Maybe I'm in the minority. I just want to see how his grappling specifically could do against somebody like Makhachev or against somebody like JDM here. But I think if Garry beats Muhammad, honestly, I think that even if it is a decision, even if it's just, you know, a good fight, just a good pace, enjoyable to watch, and it is a statement, like it's a competitive back and forth, and Garry ultimately just wins that fight, I think that there's a really good argument for Garry to get the title shot instead because Garry beat Prates. And I'm not just trying to do like the MMA math thing, but like that happened in April. It's not like this was like 3 years ago and then now you could justify Prates getting the shot over him. Like that was the literal last fight almost for both of these guys, okay? I mean, Prates fought once since then, but in general, I think that there's kind of better arguments to give Brady or Morales and Garry or Muhammad the title shot above Prates. But the thing is, if Leon wins the fight, I mean, he can go fuck himself. But if Prates really does KO Leon, don't get me wrong, I would love to see a Prates title shot, but I feel like he does kind of need that one more. And maybe I'm bogus for this, okay? Don't get me wrong. Out of Brady, Morales, Garry, and Bilal Muhammad, I want to say this, I like Prates the most kind of by far here. Like, I love Prates as a fighter. I love the little smoker personality, and he's just here to have a good time, but when he steps in the cage, he's trying to knock your ass out, okay? I fuck with him, and I fuck with the fighting nerds. I'm not going to fall off the hype train just because they're losing their fights recently, but I just think even if he does KO Leon, yes, it's going to be extremely impressive. Beating a former champion, he'll enter the top 5, and he's the first guy to ever knock out Leon Edwards. There's been so many people that were unsuccessful to do that, but I just think the fact that he just lost to Garry, literally like a few months ago. Yes, beating Jeff Neal and knocking him out is crazy. And yes, if he knocks out Leon Edwards, that's a great win, but it's a 2-fight win streak, and it seems like everybody and their mother is preaching about how we want to give title shots to people who are on these long win streaks and have beaten 5, 6, 7 guys in a row, or sometimes even more than that, and especially racking up those names in the rankings. So I think if Prates KOs Leon, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him in the top 5. I'd love to see him get a real legitimate #1 contendership fight after that, but I think there are slight better arguments for Brady and Morales and Garry and Muhammad. Like, listen, if Bilal Muhammad wins, he ain't getting the goddamn title shot. We know that. And if Michael Morales wins, I could see them giving him the title shot. I don't know if that's exactly a better argument than Prates, so maybe I could see Prates if he KOs Leon. Like, I could rather see that over Morales getting the title shot because Morales is on a good streak right now, but I don't exactly think beating like the oldest man Burns we've ever seen, you know, and before that, I get it. He has a lot of notable wins. He's on a good win streak right now, and I believe he's undefeated in general, but I think Brady will be a great name for Morales, but in general, I hope you guys see what I'm saying here. I'm trying to remove the bias. Like, I love Prates. I want to see him get the shot. I hope he knocks out Mumble Mouth Leon here, but in general, I think there are kind of slight better arguments for Brady Morales or Garry here, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here coming from Joseph Schilling, saying that the current state of welterweight from ranked to unranked is the best any division has ever been in any period of the UFC. The thing about this one, man, I want to kind of disagree. I want to just look at this and be like, oh, this is the hottest hell take, but I don't really know if it is. Like, welterweight, I have been preaching like the gospel that it is literally one of the greatest divisions the UFC's ever seen right now, ever in terms of talent level, because we always like to talk about how the UFC, the competition level is better now than it ever has been, and I totally agree with that, but welterweight is such a good example because all the guys mostly in the top 8, top 9 range, very well-rounded, or at least they have those attributes that really stand out, like Brady, excellent wrestler, Prates, excellent knockout artist, like guys like that. But then you also have the Michael Morales who are well-rounded. You also have the Bilal Muhammads who are well-rounded. You know what I'm saying? Look at the champion in JDM. He's well-rounded with the goddamn Craig Jones takedown defense he's been working on. So in general, welterweight is full of absolute killers, okay? And even the people that, you know, have those kinds of attributes, like I just mentioned Prates having great KO power. Dude, even his takedown defense is holding up. Like, I just feel like the level of competition is just elevating these guys to get even better. Like, I think DC preaches it a lot, but you can't, or I'm sorry, not that you can't, but it's really difficult to become a champion in the UFC or even like that top 5 if you are relying on one attribute. Like, you kind of have to be solid in all regards now, and I think welterweight is the perfect example of that. Like, even a guy like Alex Pereira at light heavyweight, like, yeah, he's a crazy knockout artist, and you could say he relies on that. He's one-dimensional. How does he make it to the top? Dude, the guy's barely taken down ever in the UFC. Like, Blachowicz did it, okay? I gotta give credit to him, and I believe someone else did as well. But in general, like, stuffing all the big angst takedowns and shit like that. Pereira's able to keep it on the feet so that his striking does shine. My whole point, man, is that especially welterweight, it's like that nice balance. Like, you're not too big to get to like the blobby heavyweights, but you're not too light to where you're like the faster beyond the speed of light flyweights and you're a bit too tiny to rack up finishes and all that. Welterweight, in my opinion, is that perfect in between. And I used to say that about lightweight, but man, welterweight is absolutely cooking right now. I love that we have multiple number one contendership fights going. And just even in terms of the skill set, man, like, these guys are so goddamn good. It's so hard to even get into the rankings, man. Like, there's a reason why all these unks that were on top for so long are finally being booted out, and they're being fed to these young, hungry killers, man. It's not like the UFC is punishing them. It's because the competition is just that good. Like, the prospects lingering outside of welterweight right now: Randy Brown, Renat Fakhardinov, Mike Mallet, Joel Alvarez, Jacoby Smith, Islam Dulatov, Jonathan Mikhailov, and even these guys who were the young, hungry prospects like last year, they're finally really entering the rankings, like Prates, like Joaquin Buckley, like Gabriel Bonfim, okay? So the division is on absolute fire, and I love it. And I genuinely think that, yes, this is kind of a hot take, but when you really look at it from top to bottom in the state of the division, even the guys that are coming up short on losses right now are pretty damn good fighters, all right? So I think in general, it is kind of a hot take, but when you really look at it, man, like, I would say that it's not too crazy here, man. Like, genuinely, I love welterweight, and it's not just because there's so much depth to it, but it's because they're so goddamn good, and for the most part, they're so goddamn entertaining. So I appreciate the welterweight division right now for everything it's worth. Hope y'all do too. So I could totally see this argument for welterweight right now being the best the UFC's ever looked, and I think that's even going to continue to be emphasized more going into 2026, okay? Moving on to the next one we got here, man. Coming from Javier Gomez, saying that I think that Sean Brady versus Michael Morales is going to be very similar to Burns versus JDM. I can see that happening, to be honest. I think what you're implying is that Sean Brady is ultimately making pretty efficient work of him for the first 2 rounds, controlling him on the ground. Michael Morales isn't able to keep it standing. He ain't got dick on the ground for him. So that 3rd round, though, JDM caught him up the knee with the middle and then knocked him out to the shadow round, and Burns has never been the same since. So I could see that possibly happening, okay, where Morales is just down those first 2 rounds. The takedown defense isn't as good as most people think, and Brady's just efficiently controlling him, getting close to a couple submissions, but because, you know, Brady himself knows he really needs that standout statement to earn that number 1 contendership spot. So I could see the 3rd round, though, Michael Morales just catches him with some crazy power, maybe just applying a heavy pressure, knowing that I need to die before I let this guy take me down to the ground. So I could see Michael Morales doing some crazy spinning shit or some crazy finish in general in the 3rd round, to where, yeah, he gets that upset knockout here, but not an upset. He's the favorite, like I was talking about earlier, but I see what you're saying ultimately. I could see the fight being similar. I am going to say it's a hot take because it's just very specific, like it's a literal parallel, but honestly, I do know what you're saying here. Like, I could see the fight playing out that way, and I think that Brady's going to need to rack up some kind of submission here, and maybe the fact that he's going to feel kind of pressured to force a finish, maybe that's just going to work towards Morales, and Morales catches him in the 3rd round, like you're saying. So it's a hot take, but you know what, maybe not too out of a take. I can see that happening, all right? That's going to be it for the video, man. I appreciate all y'all who submitted everything in. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below, man. Which of these hot takes do you think were the best? Which ones do you think were the worst? Which ones do you agree with or disagree with? Let me know in the comments below, man. We're just here to shoot the shit about MMA. I'd absolutely love to hear your guys' thoughts, all right? And if you made it this far in the video, guys, thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention. Truly, y'all, means the world to me. Really appreciate it. And I am so goddamn excited for UFC 322. I hope y'pe are as well. I know you are as well, okay? It's the card of the goddamn century. So all the smoke here, man. Appreciate y'all a lot. Hope you have a good time watching the Apex card this weekend. And hope you have a good time watching 322 next weekend. See you guys next time. All the smoke here. Have a good one, boys.